Hey guys, it's Riley, aka Honey Rags. If you are new to my channel, have not been following me, stumbled upon this video from YouTube, and you have no idea who I am a full-time reseller, and this video is actually a battle of the bins. So over on Instagram, I posted yesterday that I was taking a trip to the Goodwill bins. Which I live about 45 minutes from the bins and I do not go there often. So I actually had a lot of responses, a lot of comments with people telling me their horror stories, with people saying, oh, I hate the bins, with people saying, oh, you're so lucky. I wish I had a bins near me. I don't live near one. Just tons of comments. It got a lot more attention than I thought it would. So I thought I would do a video on the bins versus the regular Goodwill stores, just so I can kind of put into perspective the huge difference there is between the stores and the bins. So before I start, I want to just let you guys know my son is with me. One of them is napping and the other one is right over here, and he knows I'm taking a video, but he's not very good at keeping the noise level down, so just bear with me if you hear some background noise. He's just enjoying himself. So I do want to start out by saying, if you do not live by a bins, if you just don't like going to the bins, if you have children like me and you cannot make it to the bins because of your children, which is my case a lot of the time, it is hard to navigate that place with kids. Do not feel like down in the dumps about it. I don't feel like people who have, full-on access, who are, within 15 miles of bins, I do not feel like they have an advantage over other resellers. Obviously, their initial investment, their price point for everything can be lower because they paid less for the item. But don't get down in the dumps if you don't live near bins. 95% or more of what I sell is from the Goodwill stores. If I was finding amazing items every single time I went to the bins and I was having this huge, massive return, obviously I would take the 45-minute drive with my kids up there, twice, 3 times a week, but that is not the case. So if you have no idea what the bins are, which a lot of people, surprisingly, to my surprise, have no idea, it is basically a Goodwill outlet, although I do think the one near me has raw donations and like surplus of when, one store in the area gets too much of one donation. I think they will kind of send it to the bins before it's even picked over by the employees. But for the most part, it is an outlet. You pay by the pound and they just dump tons of clothing and hard goods, but they do separate them into bins, and you are literally, quite literally, digging through just junk and Goodwill's leftovers, pretty much. I personally wear gloves. I wash everything that comes from the bins. I don't know if it's just my location, but the bins just have a smell. So take the smell of Goodwill when you walk in and everything smells kind of like mothballs. Take that smell and zip it into a Ziploc bag and let it just kind of sit in the hot driveway for like 3 days, festering in its own smell. That is what the bins smell like to me. I am not trying to be over dramatic. I'm not trying to scare anybody from going to the bins, but if you are taking young children to the bins or it is your first time going to the bins, be prepared to get down and dirty. I am not dogging anybody who goes to the bins, or anybody who resells from the bins. Honestly, I have no problem after things are washed wearing things from the bins. I have no problem buying things that other people found at the bins. It's really just, at the end of the day, you're recycling clothing. It's not like this clothing is getting like puked on or anything, but I do want to warn you guys, if you are not someone who is used to dumpster diving or the idea of digging through trash to find treasure, the bins are shocking. So like I said, with that being said, a lot of resellers, surprisingly, find a lot of their stuff at the bins, and I don't see why they wouldn't. Honestly, if I kept finding good things in my area, I would keep going too. I am going to show you guys the hauls. I did not plan this. I spent about 2 hours at the bins, and an hour and a half to 2 hours at the Goodwill store nearest to the bins. So the Goodwill store, I unfortunately didn't get to go through every single thing. I wanted to go through the men's. I wanted to go through the woman's long sleeve, but I did not because my kids had a very busy day. So we just went home. I didn't want to drag them, on any longer. They clearly did not want to be there. These numbers are not totally fair because my next video, I'm going to do not just equal amounts of time at each location, but I'm going to make sure at the Goodwill store I go through everything so that it is actually fair, completely fair. Also, like I said, it depends on the location. I've heard a lot of people complaining about the bins near me that is just trash and they're not finding anything. It's too busy, whatever. So if you're in a different location, the bins might be like the best thing that's ever happened to your business. With that being said, I gotta stop using that phrase. I've said it like 7 times. But anyway, I'll start saying anyway. I happened to find 12 items at the bins and 12 items at the store. So usually when I go to a Goodwill store, I'm not gonna lie, when I go to like my honey holes on days where they restock a lot of the clothing, I usually find way more than 12 things. I didn't even realize I had 12 things from each stop until I got home and I started doing the breakdown, and I'm like, I have 12 things from the bins and 12 things from the store. So if that's not a good comparison as far as like for each item, I don't know what is. So anyway, I'll start with the bins. I will turn this haul video on for you guys to see. This is everything that I found at the bins. So this is a BDG, which is an Urban Outfitters brand top. Everything also, I should note, it has all been washed, obviously dried, and it has also all been steamed. This is a denim tunic. This is very trendy, very in style. I think I will list this around $20. So BDG has done well for me in the past. I sold their jeans within a couple of weeks of listing at full asking price. This is a Lane Bryant top. So the style's different. It's not my style, but it's so light. I probably paid less than a quarter for it, and it has like this oriental, almost oriental design. I will probably list this around $15. This, at the regular Goodwill, I probably would have left it behind because it's not anything super special, but it's a pink lightning wash. I think it will do well. I will probably start it around $15 as well. I found this vintage Nantucket sweater, very heavy. There was nothing that said to me that it was vintage from the tag, but just from looking at it and the style and the aging of the dye and the fabric at the seams, I can just assume that this one's vintage. I will probably list this one around $20. I also found this pair of Athleta pants. So these have some piling on the back, which I haven't taken the sweater shaver to them yet, but a sweater shaver should take this piling off. There's not like any piling at the inside crotch or anything, which is always good. That's a place that I check. Unfortunately, I didn't realize when I picked them up that the drawstring is missing, so I will adjust the price down, maybe around $15 on these. And this is a new with tags O'Neill of Dublin kilt. So it was made in Ireland, I believe, and these retail at about $40 online, but that is in euros, so I'm going to list this one around $25 to $30. I also found this Robert Graham men's, so now we're moving on to the men's. This is a men's career jacket. It has this like velvety texture to it. Unfortunately, I didn't realize until I brought it home that 2 of the buttons are missing. Regardless, I will probably start this one around $40. I found this Sperry men's windbreaker in excellent condition. It's pretty basic. It's just gray. It has this bright coral red zipper, which I like. That kind of stands out. And then it also has this fairy logo at the sleeve. I will probably list this one around $25 to start. I also found this Tommy Bahama men's silk blend pullover zip up. So usually with Tommy Bahama, I always want to find, you know, tropical Hawaiian bright prints, but because this was at the BINS and because it's a silk blend, I think this will do well. I looked up comps and I think I will list this one around $25 to $30 to start. This was my first time picking up this brand, Dakota Grizzly. They don't retail for hundreds of dollars or anything, but this was probably about $160 new, give or take. It's just a men's button-up. It has the Dakota Grizzly logo at the bottom as well. All of the hardware has the Dakota Grizzly on it. I will probably list this one around $35 to $40. Although it's off season, I think this one will do well. And I also found this men's Timberland jacket, which from the outside, you can tell it's been ran through the wash a couple of times. You can just tell by kind of looking at the texture of the fabric, but the inside tag is not cracked up or anything too bad, so it's in overall good condition. I will probably list this one around $25. I really wanted to find short sleeve and lots of shorts, but I ended up finding lots of jackets. Obviously, I got pushed out of my comfort zone at the BINS because I got more men's stuff than I normally would. I did get pushed a little bit out of my comfort zone with the like Dakota Grizzly and the jackets and stuff that I'm not used to selling. So I do think that the BINS are good in that aspect. You are forced out of your comfort zone because nothing is organized by style, size, anything. You know, it's all just quite literally thrown in there. So sometimes the BINS are good because it forces you to like consider other things and look up brands that you may never have learned about if you hadn't stumbled across something at the BINS. So right after I went to the BINS, I went out to lunch. I got some coffee with my kids. I didn't give them coffee. I got coffee while they ate some cake pops. But we went right to the nearest Goodwill location from the BINS and we scoured the store. So I went through the women's activewear, I went through the women's short sleeve, and I went through the dresses. So what you're about to see is everything that I found at the Goodwill store location. I'm going to show you guys the 12 items I found from the Goodwill store. So I also have these organized by style, but in no particular order of which I found them or anything. I found an Aloe Yoga tank top with a built-in sports bra. I will probably list this one around $20. I found this Bowden top. It's pretty simple. I've had great luck flipping the prints, the really tropical and floral prints. However, this one's pretty simple. Some people leave Bowden behind. I personally pick it up. This one I will list around $15. If it doesn't sell for that price, I'm probably just going to keep it for myself. I found this Tommy Hilfiger. It's like a tunic. At first I thought it was a mini dress, but I'm not so sure. It's a black stripe pattern, and it has this boxy style, which I love. It's extra large. It's a great size. I will probably list this one around $40, which seems like it's on the higher end, but this is a newer style. It's very trendy, and this is in really good condition. I also found this older label Eileen Fisher linen blend, very long maxi dress with ties at the waist. I will probably list this one at $50 to start, which again, that also seems a bit higher considering Eileen Fisher isn't one of those brands that just flies off the shelves anymore. But because this is going into that season, I think it will do well at that price point. I also found this Bowden pattern dress. So this is what I'm talking about with Bowden. They're known for their prints, and this one's very, very cute, very preppy. It reminds me of like a Vera Bradley. This one I will probably list around $35 to $40 to start. I found this Tahari ASL dress, which I don't always pick up Tahari by Arthur S. Levine, simply because it doesn't retail for, you know, hundreds of dollars or anything, but it is a brand that has a nice little following, and I am a sucker for these kind of like very bold floral contrast prints. I will probably list this one around $25. I also found this Neon Buddha dress. If you've watched my previous videos, Neon Buddha does well for me. I will probably list this one around $30. Here is a, I'm not going to be able to show you guys with this hand. Here is a Trina Turk Los Angeles. Very formal, very cute, simple dress with this studding at the sleeves and at the bib. This is in excellent condition. It's size 0, which is a smaller size, but I pick up all sizes. I'm not really worried about the size on this one. I think it will sell. I will probably start it around $40. This one is an ASOS. So ASOS is also, I guess, a hit or miss brand. I didn't pick this one up specifically because of the brand, but this one was more of something I picked up because of the style. It has this tie, this waist wrap tie, and it's almost like a cherry blossom, but maybe marigolds. I can't really tell. It's just a really nice floral dress. Although it's long sleeve, this reminds me of something that you'd wear in the spring. I will probably list it around $25. Moving on to the bottoms, I found these Nike women's basketball shorts with this light bright blue contrast. Just because of these colors, it reminds me of like a pair of retro shorts, even though they're not vintage. The contrast colors really remind me of like something that you'd see in like the 90s or Y2K. I will probably list these at $15. So this one was exciting. I found Burberry sweatpants. These are more like lounge pants. I checked all the hardware. I obviously checked the numbers on the inside tag to make sure it is authentic. The comps on these were all over the place, but it has this classic Burberry plaid on the side, which is something I always look for with Burberry pieces. This one I will probably list around, I want to say $30, maybe $35, but some have sold for like 50, some have sold for 20, so I'm going to start it off higher and hope for the best or the best offer. No pun intended. This is the last one. It's a men's Disney store shirt. It says Paris with a Paris black and white photo in the back of the text, and obviously this Mickey Mouse in front. This one is a Disney store, so it's something you had to get at the store. So this was probably around $40 new. So I will list this one around $20 because it is in great condition. Okay. So as you guys can see, it's very different. The categories of items are very much different. I know I got a lot of dresses. Just that one men's item. So before I start with the actual numbers, I do want to say the store items that I found at the store, I feel like reflect my style more so than what I found at the bins. So the things I found at the bins, most of it was not my style, and I think that is definitely a con, because when I list something, I really want to be motivated to list it. I want to be really proud and like literally showcase everything in my closet because it's my style. So obviously if I find a St. John skirt that is like really ugly and I would never wear, obviously I'm going to pick it up regardless of where I'm finding it, as long as the price point is low. But I do feel like when I'm at the Goodwill store, I can kind of, I will put things back that aren't my style. Whereas the bins, it's like you're getting things for so cheap, like less than $1 an item. It's like, I don't care if this is my style or not. Like, I'm going to flip this. So with that being said, I do like the fact that at the store you can, you know, everything's like more, you take the time, you're more selective about everything that you find, right? So now I'm going to get into the numbers. So The bins I spent $12 on. All that stuff that you guys saw in the video, I spent $12 on. So I'm just kind of rounding this all off. All of you, you know, calculus students, don't freak out on me if I have these off by a couple of dollars. I was quickly jotting it as I was watching the video, trying to remember which price points I stated in the video. So in the video, I said I had about $270 worth of sales if you add everything up from the bins. So minus the 20% Poshmark fee. So I just assume that everything's going to have 20% taken off of it to be safe. So minus the $54, which would be the 20% of that, that's $216. Take away the $12 investment, that's $204. So I would have $204 profit, right? Well, not right, because not 100% of my items sell at my asking price. Most of my items I get a best offer. Some items I, you know, sit on for longer, and I'll adjust the price throughout the weeks that they're in my closet. So I thought, to be safe, I'll take off another 20% off of the $204, just trying to consider the offers and the price adjustments and the items that might not sell, right? So take $41 off of that, and that's $163 profit from the bins. After being on the safe side. If I wanted to be on even the safer side, I would even take a couple dollars off that, thinking of things that, you know, might be bundled together, whatever. But I'll say $163, and divided by 12 pieces, you have $13, around $13.50 per item profit. That's after fees, that's after what you paid, that's after taking away, you know, the 20% to be on the safe side. $13.50 an item profit, which really is not bad. That's like having $13 taped to a dress that you can take home for free. All you have to do is take a picture of it and wait for somebody to come along and ask for it, and then you can take that $13 off of the dress. So not bad. With the store, I spent $54 for 12 items. So the breakdown is, after everything that I showed you guys with all the price points that I'm guesstimating, I will list them for, that's $345 total, which is not far from my bins total. You know, it's nothing, like, it's not a crazy drastic difference, right? So $345 minus the $69 Posh fee, which would be 20% of that, I have $276 minus the $54 spent. So here's where the bins are starting to look better, right? So after the $54 spent, that brings me to $222 profit, which is not far from the $204 profit that I had before the assumed fees on the bins, right? So, you know, when I first started this video, I thought for sure I was going to end up saying, this is why the store is better, blah, blah, blah. But after, like, sitting back and looking at the numbers, I'm like, you know, after that $54 spent, although $54 isn't that much, it does take off a good chunk from the total, evening it out with the bins. So I also took off 20% of the $222, considering the offers, considering the price drops, considering the bundles, everything that I said previously, which brings me out to $178 profit for the store for 12 items. Now 178 divided by 12 is $14.83 per item profit, which is crazy to me, considering the bins average was $13.50 average, and the store was only a little bit more than that. Like, that's crazy to me, because when I go over my bins video, there's nothing that, like, sticks out to me as, like, oh, this is so cute, and, you know, I didn't find, like, this super cute Trina Turk dress. All of the brands at the bins are kind of bread and butter, but I think because I had those men's jacket, and a jacket is going to have a higher price point than a regular shirt or a bottom, I think that's really what rings it in for the bins. So this was not planned. It quite literally averages out to about the same for me. So of course, every single trip is going to be different. And if I had 100 items instead of 12, if I spent 6 hours at each stop, this would probably be an entirely different video. However, I do want to say the store will always win for me because I do not have the personality to dig through things all day long and have people shoving me aside and throwing clothes at me. Literally, I'm not trying to scare you guys, but the bins are not for the faint of heart. For me, just putting in a little bit less work at the store by just going through a nicely organized rack of clothing, bringing it home, sorting out what needs to be steamed and what needs to be washed versus everything at the bins needs to be washed and steamed. For me personally, the store would win. Even if the store had a little bit less of a return profit, I would still choose the store personally. So with that being said, if you are a new reseller, I would suggest trying out the bins if you have one near you, maybe within an hour, because the initial investment is lower. There's a lot of room for error. And, you know, who knows, if I would have went to the bins and, you know, been a little bit more stern and not really let people push me aside and really make sure to be like one of the first persons at the front of the bin when the bin gets taken out from the back, you know, I might have, the bins might have won this battle of the bins, but I don't have that personality. I kind of was just like, I do not take it this seriously, guys. Like, there were people with, you know, the full-on war gear, and they would like stand with their hands on their hips, like waiting for the next bin to come out, and they would like literally like pace to it, just shoot over to the new bins. And I'm like, reselling is very serious to me. This is how I make my income. However, I do not take it that seriously. So I'm naturally not too competitive, but if you are naturally competitive, go for it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know there are a lot of numbers and I kind of blabbled on about the bins. I didn't just want to give you guys like a numbers video because that really doesn't go into, I wanted to go into detail about the difference between the bins and the stores, because before I knew what the bins were, I'd have had like no idea what the difference was. And I probably would have been super depressed because other people have access to the bins all the time and I didn't. But now that I am used to the bins and know what they are, you know, hopefully this helps someone else out there to see, you know, they're great, but they're not like this crazy money maker that you can't do at your local Goodwills or thrift stores. Again, my thrift stores are very reasonably priced, so I know thrift stores in Los Angeles and like around NYC, they definitely, you will be paying up if you live around there. And in that case, I would say, you know, go to the bins. Don't even go to the thrift stores. Go to the bins first. But in my area, the price points for all of the, you know, shirts, dresses, pants, they're pretty good. Unless it's like North Face or Patagonia, they're not really going to mark it up. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about the bins. I don't want anybody to think that I was trash talking the bins because I said it was dirty. If you live in a different location, it might be a lot better, but the bins near me, I've literally found like empty cups of yogurt at. But if you are a reseller and you sell things from the bins, I am so proud of you. You is doing a good job. You is smart. You is successful. So please don't take this as like me saying that all your clothes are dirty because you got them from the bins. I do want to make that clear. This is just my opinion, my location, my experience. So I hope you guys have happy selling. And seriously, like I said, I always read the comments, so let me know down in the comments what you think about each and which one you prefer. So if you don't follow me on Instagram, my Instagram name is honey.rags, and from there I have a link tree to all of my numerous platforms. So thank you so much for watching, guys.